Hello, my name is Josh and welcome back to FPL Graduates. In today's video, we're going through all of the players that you must be considering going into Matchday 4. Everyone has unlimited transfers. It's going to be a wicked start to the knockout phase of Euro 2024, so let's get into it. Okay then, so starting off first with Marc Cucurella. We're going through 6 players in this video, and for me personally, I have all 6 in my current Matchday draft. So yeah, we're going to start off with Cucurella. Obviously played the first 2 group games for Spain, then got rotated in the last game like most of the Spanish 11 did. In those 2 games, picked up 2 clean sheets and a massive 16 ball recoveries. So that's like nearly 3 extra points per game. He's just shy off of that, which would have been 18. His ownership is still quite relatively low, only 7% owned, and as you can see, really cheap as well with 4.5 million euros. Obviously, in this format, in the round of 16, everyone gets an extra 5 million euros added to their budget, as well as being able to pick up to 5 players from one individual nation. So yeah, really handy. Obviously plays on the 30th of June, which is the second day of the match day, the same day as England, and he's playing Georgia, which I know Georgia played really well against Portugal. Obviously, they rotated their side again there. But for me, Spain have been the best looking team at this tournament. And I really do feel like they could seriously contend to get to the final. For me, Georgia, although they were decent, is a really good game on paper still. And I think a good game for a clean sheet and equally lots of ball recoveries again. So yeah, Marc Cucurella, one of the first defenders in my team. Okay then, so next up we're going to get into another 4.5 million euro defender, and it is Marc Guehi. I know a lot of people will probably have him in their teams already, but he's only 8% owned, which I find absolutely mind-boggling. 3 games so far, he's kept 2 clean sheets and an absolutely unbelievable 26 ball recoveries at the moment. Really insane numbers from him. Obviously, England have conceded the least amount of XG in the tournament so far. Admittedly, they haven't created too much either, but defensively, they are absolutely sound. I know they've not faced too many good opponents so far, probably Denmark being the best, but they are facing Slovakia, who are equally probably on the same level of the opponents that they've faced with the likes of Slovenia. I think they're a few rankings either above or below Slovenia, so yeah, a similar calibre of opposition, and I think we'll definitely see the same sort of scenario pan out that we've seen so far throughout the group stage with England. They'll struggle to break a team like Slovakia down. That just means a serious amount of ball recoveries for players like Marc Guehi and potentially John Stones, where they're collecting the ball back after a long clearance and things like that. So yeah, really handy, really nice option. For me, he's definitely the best England asset. It's just, let's see if the attackers can sort of change our minds on that. Sticking with the England theme, and I know some of you will be like, what on earth is there an England attacker doing in this video? But Cole Palmer came off the bench in that 3rd group game, and he's probably been one of the most threatening England attackers we've seen all tournaments so far. Obviously, there's been the news of Phil Foden travelling back to England for the birth of his 3rd child. Obviously, apparently he will be back for the game. So we'll have to wait and see in terms of will he start, because obviously him not being about in training sessions and things like that could sort of hamper Phil Foden's minutes on the pitch come this round of 16 knockout. But for me, Cole Palmer needs to start no matter what anyway. He was so good, and I do expect there to be changes in this England side going into this round of 16 game. I think there's a good chance we're likely to see Kobbie Mainoo, Cole Palmer and probably Anthony Gordon come into this side with Saka, Foden and Gallagher sort of making way for them. So yeah, for me, I think he's definitely, if we get sort of a more of an inkling, which we usually do with the England team, it usually leaks almost 24 hours before the game, and obviously that will be when the deadline is for the day before. So we usually know who's sort of coming into the team. If we hear that Cole Palmer's definitely coming in, I'll 100% have him in my team. He just creates chances, he creates panic amongst the defence, and that's what we need for England. It's been too static going forward. So yeah, for me, really like him, and if he does get that start, he's definitely going to be in my Matchday 4 draft. Okay then, and moving on to another midfielder who has sort of set the tournament alight so far. He's played so well in those opening 2 group games for Spain. Is Nico Williams. Obviously he played the first 2, similar to Cucurella, got rotated in the 3rd game. So yeah, no attack and return so far, but he has been super lively, creating loads of chances, hit the bar against Italy. So the returns are coming, basically, is what I'm trying to say. He obviously got the player of the match against Italy as well for his great performance, which, you know, just goes to show how many chances he's creating and how much of a nuisance he was for Di Lorenzo, who, by the way, is probably one of the best right-backs in world football at the moment. 10% ownership, so he's slightly higher owned than maybe some of the assets that we've just previously talked about, but a fantastic option. You could argue potentially a captaincy option, but for me, I think there is still a risk with him in terms of he will probably get taken off around the 70th minute mark. Spain just have a plethora of attacking options in those wide areas as well as in the middle, so the likes of Pedri, Lamine Yamal, all of those guys will probably see the bench at some stage in those games. So yeah, for me, he's a good option, and I think, you know, there is definite potential for him to get big hauls. But for me, I'm not so sure I'd put the armband on him. Okay then, so the final midfielder in this video is going to be Marcel Sabitzer. At 6.5 million euros is a bit of a steal, to be honest. And Austria, for me, have been by far one of the best looking teams in this tournament. Alongside with Spain, those two teams have impressed me the most. And obviously he's played all 3 games so far for Austria. He's got 2 attacking returns. I'm counting that penalty as an attacking return. And if Arnautovic went off the pitch, he probably would have took the penalty. A lot of people expected Sabitzer to be the penalty taker. Does look like Arnautovic is first choice, but Arnautovic's minutes isn't great, so don't be surprised if maybe there's a late penalty, Arnautovic is already off the pitch and we see Sabitzer take it. It's a good chance of that. He's on all set pieces pretty much, corners, free kicks, you name it. Obviously, he got that goal against the Netherlands and a player in a match. It was just a fantastic option in that game. 5% ownership. One of the big draws with him at the moment is that he does play on the 2nd of July, which is my birthday, by the way. Which is the last day of Matchday 4, and at the moment there aren't too many captainable options on that match day, and as we've seen throughout this tournament, I've only had 1 captaincy return throughout the tournament so far. I had all blanks in Matchday 1, I got the return in Matchday 2 with Musiala, and then in Matchday 3 I had all blanks for my captaincy as well, so it's not very easy in this tournament to pick a good captaincy option. So yeah, you might need the captain to come down to that final day on the 2nd of July. Obviously, at that day, Austria are playing Turkey, Netherlands are playing Romania. So I think it's important to consider an asset from Austria or the Netherlands, because obviously they're going to be the favourites for those fixtures. So yeah, for me, Marcel Sabitzer is a fantastic option. He averages about 3 ball recoveries per game as well. So you're picking up an extra point there as well, which is obviously nice if you're captaining him. And if he gets an attack in return, you're looking at potentially over 10 points immediately, because there's a good chance that he'll get a player of the match award if he does score. Okay then, so the final player in this video is going to be a forward, and it's going to be a bit of a differential forward as well, because I think it's very clear and obvious that you could easily go ahead and pick Mbappe, Kane and Ronaldo, but for me, all 3 of those assets haven't necessarily set the world alight right now, and I think you could easily save budget, maybe increase it in the defence or the midfield by going with a cheaper forward like Cody Gakpo. 7.5 million euros in Euro Fantasy, played 3 games, got 2 goals, got a player of the match award as well in that opening group stage game. 14% owned is a lot higher than I expected him to be, but he's playing really well. As I mentioned with Sabitzer, he plays on the 2nd of July, and so does Cody Gakpo here. Romania fixture, which for me is actually pretty decent. I know Romania looked good in defence in their first game, but trust me, the Netherlands, I know they're not been great either, but I expect them to get some goals, and usually Cody Gakpo so far this tournament has been Netherlands' source of goals, which is what you want to see as a forward option. So yeah, for me, he's a decent option. Again, there's not too much set piece threat with him. He maybe could take a free kick every now and then, but I'm sure Memphis Depay would have a lot to say about that. Again, Memphis Depay could be a nice option as well, but he tends to get subbed off for Wout Weghorst, so you know, there's a bit of a risk there in terms of minutes. So for me, yeah, Cody Gakpo is a nice option. And if you wanted to go a little bit differential outside of the usual 3 of Kane, Mbappe and Ronaldo, he'd be someone who I'd definitely throw in there in contention. Okay then, so that wraps up the top transfer targets for Matchday 4 and the players that you might need in your Euro Fantasy teams. Let me know who you're thinking about in the comments below. Do you disagree or agree with some of the opinions that I've thrown towards you in this video? If you haven't already as well, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you've watched till the end. We really appreciate it. Obviously on the road to 5,000 subscribers, so we appreciate everyone who hits that subscribe button. I've been Josh. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good match day, everyone.
So you may rise, but you'll never make me wanna stick around.